Humans have been in conflict since the dawn of time, and over that time we've invented some pretty creative ways to wage war. So for today's video, I'm counting down the top 15 most incredibly effective ancient weapons. Starting with number 15, the polybolos. The polybolos, translating to mean multiple thrower, was a revolutionary ancient weapon often likened to an ancient machine gun, as it could unleash several projectiles before requiring reloading. Its development marked an improvement upon the traditional catapult during the 3rd century BCE. The catapult's use dates back to the 9th century BCE, gaining popularity in the 4th century across the Mediterranean. Initially, Greek catapults featured large bows drawn back by winches, with later advancements replacing bow arms with tight bundles of sinew or rope, using torsion for launching arrows or heavier projectiles like stones. Dionysius of Alexandria, a Greek engineer at the Rhodes Arsenal, is credited with inventing the polybolos. During the 3rd, polybolos offered precision targeting. However, this pinpoint accuracy became a drawback, with historical records noting complaints about its excessive precision. The lack of shot dispersion made it an overkill when targeting human targets, highlighting the polybolos's unique advantage and limitation. Number 14, the urumi. The urumi, translating to curling blade or spring sword in its literal and regional names, hails from India, and it's renowned as a whip-like weapon, earning a reputation as one of the world's more peculiar and perilous arms. Difficult to master, it poses risks not only to the opponents, but also to its wielder. Originating in the southern states of India, the urumi likely dates back to the Mauryan dynasty, spanning the 4th to 2nd centuries BCE. And despite its early existence, the urumi fell out of favor among southern Indian warriors, experiencing a lull in its usage for generations. Now, in its basic form, the urumi features a lengthy metal strip connected to configurations may also be altered, introducing multiple blades to the handle for increased lethality and heightened difficulty and mastery. Reports mention an urumi equipped with a staggering 32 blades attached to its handle, emphasizing the weapon's adaptability and the skill required to wield it effectively. Number 13, the gladius. The quintessential weapon in a Roman legionary's arsenal, particularly post-Marian reforms, was the gladius, Latin for sword. Also dubbed the Hispanic sword, it found inspirations in blades wielded by tribal warriors from the Iberian Peninsula. Scipio Africanus during the Second Punic War against Carthage favored this weapon and began outfitting his troops with it. Archaeological findings reveal that the gladius underwent evolutionary changes over time, with various types discovered. The most renowned variant, the Pompeii gladius, distinguished by its 20-inch long double-edged blade, was unearthed in Pompeii. Despite its relatively short length for a sword, setting themselves apart from the regular soldiers. This strategic placement ensured quick access to the weapon when needed, underscoring the practicality and adaptability of the Roman legionary and their iconic gladius. Number 12, the Bagnak. The Bagnak, also known as the tiger's claw or wagnak, is a traditional Indian martial arts weapon renowned for its history and distinctive design. Originating in India, it features a central knuckle duster flanked by finger holes for the thumb and pinky, concealing 3 to 5 curved blades. The unique construction turns the wearer's hand into a formidable claw, capable of slashing and thrusting in close combat. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the Bagnak gained prominence among Maratha warriors, Maharajas, and affluent individuals. It was primarily utilized for self-defense. Its concealable nature made it a practical choice for swiftly disarming attackers. Crafting one involves shaping the metal plate using a hammer and anvil, a meticulous process requiring skilled craft. Adds an interesting layer of historical significance too. During a critical encounter in 1659 with the Bijapur Sultanate General Afaz Khan, Shivaji, anticipating foul play, concealed a bagnak in his hand. When the Khan attempted an attack, Shivaji's chainmail thwarted it, allowing him to retaliate with the concealed bagnak, inflicting mortal wounds. This pivotal moment contributed to Shivaji's triumph, the Battle of Pratapgarh, and the subsequent rise of Maratha power in Indian politics, solidifying the bagnak's enduring legacy. Number 11, the English longbow. The English longbow, standing at approximately 6 feet in length, emerged during medieval times, with its origin debated between England and Wales. By the 14th century, it became a prominent weapon both for the English and the Welsh, deployed in warfare and hunting. Unfortunately, no longbows from the dominant period of 1250 to 1450 have survived, likely due to wear and tear leading to replacements rather than passing them down. Engaging in combat shooting demanded considerable practice, evident in skeletal remains of longbow archers displaying distinct physical effects, including enlarged left arms and skeletal alterations. The longbow's range remains to be determined, depending on the arrow types and bow characteristics, but historical data suggests flight arrows reaching 400 yards, with Henry VIII setting a minimum practice range of 220 yards in 1542. Modern experiments align with historical findings, as demonstrated by a Mary Rose replica longbow shooting 359 yards. Effective combat ranges were likely shorter due to the physical toll of sustained shooting and the rigors of campaign life. In 2017, a Hungarian master archer achieved a flight world record using a traditional English longbow, reaching an impressive 451.4 yards. In today's day and age, a bow and arrow may seem silly to some, but during those times, the English longbow was the equivalent of an assault rifle. Macedonian phalanx around 338 BC, possibly named after the Triballi, whom Philip II encountered in 339 BCE. Plutarch notes Macedonians wielding sarissas during the Battle of Charonia in 338 BC, initially carried by mounted troops. In 334 BCE, Alexander the Great showcased the sarissa's effectiveness, overcoming Persian forces with its extended reach. The spear featured an iron point on one end and a shorter point on the other, exemplified by the 18-inch iron spike found in Philip II's tomb. The sarissa, 3 times longer than the standard 7-foot dory spear, created a formidable wall of pikes when arranged in a phalanx. The first 5 ranks held their sarissas horizontally, projecting beyond the front, forming an impenetrable barrier against cavalry and infantry. This defensive tactic allowed sarissa bearers to deflect projectiles and maintain a nearly impregnable position. The sarissa phalanx proved challenging to dislodge from defensive positions due to its thickness, length, and bronze. An alloy of copper and tin revolutionized metallurgic process and expanded the possibilities for crafting advanced tools. Unlike copper, bronze proved resilient enough to undergo intricate shaping and forging required to create more sophisticated weapons. Crafted by the ancient Sumerians, the khopesh, with its distinctive curved shape, was designed for multifunctional use, allowing for cutting, slashing, chopping, and thrusting. Initially, body armor was not equipped to withstand slashing attacks, making the khopesh a formidable weapon. Over time, the khopesh evolved with certain variations featuring a blade that circled almost entirely the shape of a sickle. This design facilitated thrusting towards an opponent, hooking their shield and effortlessly tearing it away in a single fluid motion, enhancing its use in battle. As the khopesh gained popularity, it spread across the Mediterranean Levant, reaching Canaanite city-states. Although it entered ancient Egypt around 1550 BCE during the nascent New Kingdom period, it swiftly became a favored weapon. Khopesh. Number 8. The atlatl. The atlatl, which is essentially an ancient spear thrower, harkens back to the Upper Paleolithic period in Europe. This was a revolutionary hunting tool. The atlatl represents a significant technological advancement over conventional spear throwing methods, enhancing safety, speed, distance, and accuracy. Spanish conquistadors encountered this ingenious device when they arrived in Mexico and marveled at its capability to pierce metal armor. Attributed to the Aztec people, the term atlatl was first documented by American anthropologist Zelia Nuttall in 1891, drawing on images and a limited number of surviving examples. Diverse names such as spear thrower, woomera in Australia, and propulseur in French have been employed globally to refer to this ancient tool. Crafted from slightly curved pieces of wood, ivory, or bone, measuring between 5 to 24 inches in length and 1 to 3 inches in width, the atlatl has a hooked end that seamlessly fits into the knock end of a palm, and pinching the dart shaft with the fingers, the thrower, with a baseball pitcher's motion, propels the dart towards the target. The atlatl stays level and the dart maintains its trajectory throughout the motion. A snap of the wrist and the end imparts significant velocity, with longer atlatls facilitating increased distance, albeit with an upper limit. A properly flung 5-foot spear equipped with a 1-foot atlatl achieves speeds of about 60 miles an hour. Astoundingly, experienced atlatlists can reach a maximum speed of about 78 miles an hour, showcasing the deadly efficiency of this ancient hunting tool. Functioning as a lever system, the atlatl harnesses the power of the human overhand throw, with the simple flipping motion of the thrower's elbow and shoulder effectively adding a joint to the arm. This simple yet sophisticated technology transforms spear-assisted hunting into a precise and lethal experience, exemplifying the resourcefulness of ancient societies. Moving on to number 7, the fire lance. As gunpowder technology advanced, the explosive discharge intensified with added debris or pellets. This evolution rendered the fire lance akin to a combination of modern flamethrower and shotgun, albeit with a limited range of about 10 feet and a single shot, although some versions allowed for 2 shots. By the late 13th century, fire lance barrels transitioned to metal for better durability against explosive blasts. The early fire lances were simple in design, featuring a tube, usually bamboo, containing gunpowder and a slow match strapped to a spear or polearm. The ignited gunpowder tube would ideally emit flames towards the spearhead, with projectiles such as iron pellets or pottery shards later incorporated. Around the mid-13th century, metal fire lance barrels emerged and became independent of the lance, known as an eruptor, laying the groundwork for the hand cannon. Accuracy wasn't a major concern for the Chinese, who embraced the fire lance extensively. Notable battles such as the Battle of Kaixi in 1161 and the Battle of Thousands of Years, while the exact origins remain debated. Evidence suggests it was used by ancient Egyptians and Mycenaeans. Some theories have even proposed its emergence during the Ice Age, employed by hunters who used animal hide pouches to propel stones at prey. Artifacts found globally, including in North and Central America and Europe, indicated the widespread use of slingshots across ancient cultures. Now, the design of a sling typically involves a small cradle or a pouch suspended between 2 retention cords, accommodating a projectile. A loop on one side of the cords fits either the middle finger or wrist, while a tab at the other end rests between the thumb and forefinger. The sling is swung in an arc, releasing the tab at a precise moment, allowing the projectile to travel ballistically towards a target. Leveraging double pendulum kinetics, slings enable stones or spears to cover greater distances than by hand alone. Inexpensive and easy to construct, slings have historical significance as tools for hunting and combat. Ancient armies featured specialists. An eminent ancient Greek polymath born around 287 BCE left a mark as a mathematician, physicist, engineer, astronomer, and inventor. Hailing from the city of Syracuse, he remains a preeminent figure in classical antiquity, often lauded as the greatest mathematician of the ancient world. Archimedes' mathematical prowess transcended his time, with anticipations of modern calculus and analysis. Applying the concept of the infinitely small and the method of exhaustion, he rigorously proved an array of geometrical theorems, encompassing the area of a circle, the surface area and volume of a sphere, and various other intricate calculations. Among his ingenious inventions, though, Archimedes is credited with devising war machines of great complexity. One of the most intriguing and evocatively named instruments was the death ray. Now, contrary to fantastical steampunk imagery, this device was not a colossal contraption, but a series of mirrors designed to reflect concentrated sunlight onto Roman ships. Or exaggeration. But in 2005, MIT researchers recreated the death ray using a 10-foot red oak model of a Roman ship and 127 mirrors arranged in a parabola. Successfully igniting the ship, they demonstrated the plausibility of Archimedes' invention, albeit with some limitations. Subsequent experiments in 1973 involving 70 soldiers and mirrors further suggest the death ray's feasibility. Yet a fair amount of skepticism still lingers due to historical omissions in early accounts of the siege and the lack of subsequent use in battles. Critics argue that had the mirrors been effective, they would have become a standard weapon, a notion unsupported by historical evidence. Number 4. Odachi. The Norimitsu Odachi, a colossal sword from Japan measuring an impressive 12.5 feet in length and weighing approximately 32 pounds, it was forged in the 15th century AD. Now, this massive sword is enveloped in mystery, and legends suggest it was wielded across their backs or carried by hand. The exceptional length made it a bit of a challenge for warriors to draw the sword quickly, leading to the assistance of retainers during the Muromachi period. Odachi's swordplay styles set themselves apart from other Japanese swords by prioritizing downward cuts. These immense blades, characterized by their length, were well suited for that kind of specific combat scenario. One potential application of the Odachi was a large anti-cavalry weapon, strategically aimed at striking down horses as they approached. Alternatively, it could function as a cavalry-on-cavalry weapon compared to the Chinese Zanmadao. The odachi's extended reach, increased weight, and expansive slashing area offered a distinct advantage over spears, lances, and smaller swords in such engagements. Despite its potential battlefield uses, the odachi's cumbersome nature prompted speculation that it might have served more symbolic roles. It could have functioned as a standard, akin to a battle flag, offering a visual representation of an army during combat. Number 3. Lantern Shields. The lantern shield is a funny little weapon that emerged during medieval Europe, particularly in 16th century Italy, showcasing the influence of theatricality and mechanics prevalent during the Italian Renaissance. Reflecting the mannerism trend of the time, this unique weapon melds elements of a shield and a sword, epitomizing a steel shield transformed into a versatile tool, akin to a Swiss army knife. The blades of the lantern shield consist of 2 sword-breaker daggers. This weapon features small buckler-type plate shield with an Italian mitten glove or gauntlet placed inside, measuring approximately 12 inches in length. Additionally, a longer sword blade, also 12 inches long, extends perpendicular to the shield's edges and is affixed parallel to the user's arm, reaching out to the user's elbow. Now, the design includes various elements culminating in a tiny lantern, offering the option to illuminate the battlefield during nighttime or dawn. It did serve a tactical purpose offered by traditional shields like the heater shield, which saw diminishing utility with the advent of firearms in the 15th century. But during the 14th century, European fencing schools evolved, leading to the creation of hybrid weapons that combined shield and sword functionality. The world-famous lantern shield housed in a museum in Vienna dates back to the 1540s, featuring barbs or spikes that could be utilized as edge weapons. This specimen belonged to Archduke Ernst, who was around from 1553 to 1595, and it was known for its use in deflecting strikes and blinding opponents in duels, particularly in dark or dimly lit environments. While not historically documented for battlefield use, the lantern shield found practicality in patrolling the streets of Italy, weighing around 17 to 26 pounds. Number 2. The Zweihänder. The Zweihänder, literally translating to two-hander in German, stands as a formidable emblem of late medieval weaponry, finding its zenith during the 16th century. This imposing two-handed sword evolved from the long swords of the late Middle Ages. The hilt allowed for smashing or pummeling, and the quillons equipped with parrying hooks in later versions served in hooking opponents or their weapons. All Zweihanders exceeding 9 pounds in weight were relegated to ceremonial and parade roles. Lighter variants proved agile and deadly on the battlefield. Swiss or German mercenaries, specifically the Landsknechte, adopted these weapons, earning the wielders the moniker Doppelsoldner. However, the Swiss eventually outlawed their use, diverging from the Landsknechte, who persisted in wielding these massive swords. Notable figures in history, such as the Frisian hero Peer Gerloff's Donia, achieved legendary status for their mastery of the Zweihander. Donia's reputation and ability to behead several adversaries with a single stroke solidified its reputation as a weapon of unparalleled skill. The decline of the Zweihander coincided with the advent of gunpowder, of course, as European armies transitioned away from traditional pike formations. That shift in military tactics marked